Clyde Stubblefield, best known as the funky drummer for James Brown, was born and raised here in Chattanooga. This weekend, as we near the end of Black Music Month, a film screening and a live concert will honor his life and legacy. First, a Stubblefield tribute from Shane Morrow of RISE Chattanooga, aired here on WUTC in 2023.
The month of June typically has a number of celebrations attached to it, but one that should be the most recognizable is Black Music Month. Black Music Month, also known as African American Music Appreciation Month, serves as an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the historical influence African Americans have had on the global music industry, and is intended to pay homage to the many artists, writers, songs, albums, past and present, that have shaped American pop culture and the inspiring musical moments that have brought all of us, white, black, and every other skin color, together. Chattanooga has had a significant impact on Black music throughout its history. The city has played a crucial role in the development and dissemination of various genres, including blues, jazz, gospel, and soul. Let's take a listen to some of the key examples of Chattanooga's impact on Black music.
I don't know how to read music. I don't know nothing about notes. All I know is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever goes after that. But I said, I don't question how I play. I just sit down and if I think of something, like I might think of, and that's just what I just done. That's the way I gotta play. I gotta hear that on the drums. Or I might play, see, I gotta hear that. But I know I can do it. If I can hum it, I can play it. So that's the way I think. 1, 2, 3.
Clyde Stubblefield was an American drummer who is best known for his work with James Brown, the influential and legendary funk musician. Born on April 18, 1943 in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Stubblefield developed a unique drumming style characterized by his innovative and intricate use of syncopation, ghost notes, and offbeat rhythms. Stubblefield's drumming can be heard on many of James Brown's most famous recordings, including the classic funk songs Cold Sweat, Funky Drummer, and Sex Machine. His drum break on Funky Drummer, in particular, became one of the most sampled drum beats in the history of popular music and has been widely used in hip-hop and other genres. Despite his significant contributions to music, Stubblefield often did not receive proper recognition or compensation for his work. In later years, he continued to perform, record, and teach drumming. He collaborated with various artists and released his own albums, showcasing his talent and versatility as a musician. Clyde Stubblefield passed away on February 18, 2017 in Madison, Wisconsin, leaving behind a lasting legacy as one of the most influential drummers in the history of funk and popular music. His contributions to rhythm and his iconic drum breaks continue to be celebrated and recognized by musicians and fans worldwide.
Our thanks to Monica Arnold and Shane Morrow of RISE Chattanooga for this Amplify segment celebrating Black Music Month. This Saturday, starting at 11 a.m., ArtsBuild will host an exclusive screening of Give the Drummer Some, a documentary on Clyde Stubblefield, who died in 2017, and a talkback with Trevor Banks, the film's director. Then, at 6 p.m. in Miller Park, local and regional musicians will perform at a live tribute concert to Stubblefield presented by RISE Chattanooga and the City of Chattanooga. I spoke with Shane Morrow, Executive Director of RISE, and Carmen Davis, Senior Director of the City of Chattanooga's Office of Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy.
Trevor, who is the documentarian who will be coming here, his family was family friends with Clyde Stubblefield's family. And so he grew up around Mr. Stubblefield. And he just, as he got older, went into film and said, hey, I know the perfect person who needs to get the recognition that he has gotten in little small kind of doses here and there, but not really a full-on documentary just about him. There have been some documentaries about sampling and his impact on music and the music industry, but there hasn't been one that's just specifically about him and his specific legacy. And so that's what we are excited to premiere as we celebrate Clyde Stubblefield all day on the 28th. And Shane can share more about that, especially the concert that's also going to happen on that day.
Which is going to be amazing, Ray. When I think back a couple of years ago that we actually did a small celebration collaboratively with Carmen and some others over on ML King Boulevard. It was just a great way for us to be able to recognize Clyde and the contribution that he has done for the music scene. Folks, if they don't know, he's one of the most sampled drummers in music history, period. And he just received limited recognition during his lifetime. And that's really an all too common story for many artists, especially artists of color who have shaped American music. So to be able to provide this celebration for him, for me, is just outstanding. And to be able to do it with Carmen, who was one of the navigators to bring him here to Chattanooga many years ago. So we had the opportunity, I had the opportunity, and others, to meet him in person, to feel the spirit of his humbleness, but also to feel this energy of a sleeping giant. Because literally, he is the architect for hip hop, for funk, just amazing. So we asked some of our local drummers here within town to be able to come out to celebrate him through the power of music. It starts at 6 o'clock. It's going to be at Miller Park.
It's free.
Absolutely free. There's no excuses for anyone to say they're not coming out here to celebrate.
As Shane mentioned, I was fortunate to be able to bring Clyde Stubblefield home before he passed to get his flowers. So he was able to get key to the city and all those kind of wonderful things. But as an added bonus, unfortunately, it's not going to be able to happen this weekend due to some issues with getting the signage to us in enough time. But also this year, we will eventually unveil a new Tennessee Music Pathways marker honoring the legacy of Clyde Stubblefield. And that marker will be also in Miller Park. We were hoping to be able to do it on Friday, but getting parts and all that kind of stuff is a tricky situation right now. And so we just were a little fearful it wasn't going to arrive in enough time and be able to be installed in enough time to do a proper ceremony and celebration on Friday. So we are postponing that part, but we're still doing the screening. And as Shane's going to go into a little bit more detail about who's going to be performing at the concert later that night at 6 p.m. And the screening is at 11 o'clock at ArtsBuild. And it's also free, but it requires registration.
And then Shane Morrow, tell us about some of the drummers, the local drummers who are coming out for this concert on Saturday night at 6 p.m. in Miller Park.
We actually hooked up with Jared White. Jared White, for folks that know him, he is just a beast, a musical beast. How about that? When it comes to not just the drums, but also bass, that was pretty interesting to me. But long story short, he has become an artist in residence for RISE. And we asked him to curate this particular concert through the network that he had on a local and also regional level. So he was able to pull in the following folks. We got Daryl Kelly that played for the Mailman, who's been out here for many years. We got DJ Gates, Timothy Allen Turner Jr., Yaddy Westfield. Anyone that has seen Yaddy perform knows that he performs multiple instruments at once. So that's amazing. Twain Dawson, who has been known here inside the realm of drumming. And of course, we're going to have Jared. We got a couple of featured vocalists, I should say, that's going to be performing. And one of them will be Zoe Boyd. Just a couple of other folks. I'm going to keep it as a surprise. But the main thing is that folks will come out, really get a sense of community, and for us to collectively celebrate a musical icon that was born and raised right here in Chattanooga.
He was James Brown's drummer, and he was known as the funky drummer, but also there's a line in a song where James Brown says, "You're the drummer son," which is where that quote for the movie comes from, right? And so, he's been known as the funky drummer, and his drum patterns have been the most sampled drum patterns in music history, period. And it goes across multiple genres, not just R&B and hip-hop. And hip-hop is probably the biggest influence, but also gospel and rock and pop. And literally, you can find his drum patterns being sampled sampled across every genre there is just about. He was one of Rolling Stone's top drummers when they did their whole big drummer list, if you believe in those lists like that. He was not classically trained. So he is someone who, when he talked about how he learned how to play the drums, it was coming home from seeing Howard's marching band play, and he would go and try and mimic it as he's walking home down the street. Or he would go to the Armed Forces Day parade and see the bands play, and he would mimic those sounds that he would hear from the train tracks and the mills and all the things. He would mimic those sounds with sticks that he would pick up off the ground and all those types of things. So it was fascinating when we were able to bring him, for him to talk about how these very streets, these Chattanooga streets, shaped this very massive and beautiful career and legacy that he's left for everyone to enjoy.
For more, visit RISE Chattanooga and the City of Chattanooga's Parks and Outdoors, both on Facebook.